Now, here's the final interesting thing.
Okay.
You want to get your mind blown. Donald Barr has a son. That son's name is Bill Barr. Bill Barr was in charge of the Justice Department when Jeffrey Epstein was killed. It was, in fact, Bill Barr's handwritten report that told all of us that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in a cell with some toilet paper and a bunk bed that was only 4 feet off the ground while he was supposed to be in solitary confinement when the cameras were switched off. Just happened to be, and all the guards fell asleep.
How is this not front page of the New York Times? Like, you've just laid it out for me so succinctly in a matter of minutes. Why has nobody connected the dots in this way simultaneously in legacy media? Who is stopping them from this? Because there's no advertising dollars. Like, I could tell you in my world why we're not allowed to criticize certain drug, we're not allowed to say anything bad about Ozempic, because big pharma is paying 70%. But like New York Times?
Who is one of the number one investors in the New York Times? Who is a lead investor in American digital media and traditional terrestrial media? CNN, ABC, the major networks, Comcast.
BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard.
Bill Gates.
Oh my God.
Is the number one private investor in American corporate media by the numbers, by the sheer numbers. Bill Gates, of course, had his marriage destroyed because of Jeffrey Epstein. Melinda Gates called Jeffrey Epstein the most evil, sinister person she'd ever met. Bill Gates was connected with a young Russian bridge player named Maria Antonova, who was, some say of age, some say not, but either way, Bill Gates was 30 years her senior. They had an affair. This is public record. This has been printed in the Wall Street Journal. This has been read out. Bill Gates is cop to this. And they had an affair in Jeffrey Epstein's mansion in New York, where clearly he must have tapes of this.
Yep.
Anyway, the point is that Jeffrey Epstein, according to the Wall Street Journal, blackmailed Bill Gates over this. This is how culpable Bill Gates is in the entire Epstein saga. And more importantly, why Bill Gates is probably trying to keep all of the information about Jeffrey Epstein dead, like Epstein.
That actually makes great sense. This guy, in my line of work, was single-handedly responsible, or maybe it's not single-handedly, but let's say largely responsible for the silencing of any COVID questioning people online or vaccine hesitancy with regard to these shots that were pushed through emergency use. And I had a woman on who was vaccine injured, and she went on to talk about how he funded this study called the Virality Project to the tune of, I think it was like $50 million. Forgive me if I'm getting it wrong. It's been a while since we've talked. Long story short, this is the study that goes to Biden's desk. And it's what is utilized to systematically silence and cancel people online. And they had a group on Facebook for people who were injured during the trials, because she was injured during AstraZeneca's COVID vaccine trial, shut down the freaking private Facebook group. And everybody else, by the way, who would wonder if it came from a lab or wonder if ivermectin was a potential therapeutic in treating it at the time. And it was friggin' Bill Gates. And I'm actually working on a book about all these kind of health conspiracy theories. And it turns out, obviously, that he has billions of dollars tied up in mRNA tech and the drug companies behind all of this. This guy gets around, my God.
Yeah, well, when you were the world's richest man for 20 years and you were a target, clearly, of, on some level, you're like, wow, how stupid were you, right? Like, he was clearly a mark by these intel agencies, and they got him, and now you can control him, right? And so you can say, oh yeah, we're gonna go do a lot of vaccine stuff in Africa, right? And you're gonna pay for it, and we're gonna do it under the guise of your charitable foundation, and you're gonna do it because we know what happened with the Russian bridge player, right? We know that because of the little guy that we set up.
That's fascinating. Here's what I find so strange, though. Who cares? Men have had these scandals for since the inception of humanity, I would imagine. Right? I mean, we all know Kennedy and the brother are both sleeping with Marilyn Monroe and all the other. Like, why do we care? I don't think it is.
So that's where I disagree with you.
Really?
So there's something. That's where I disagree with you.
Okay.
No matter how secular and sunken, morally depraved our society gets, everyone will always recoil in horror when you find out that some husband cheated on a wife that you know.
Okay.
Always. You'll never say that's permissible. No one will ever say that. We always think it's when you find out a celebrity's done that or a sports star, right? And they're getting divorced. You say, well, you know what? That is a line that shall not be crossed. It goes back to like bred in the bone. It goes back to a moral sense that was put in us by God, and that says that these marriages are sacred, and people will. It's amazing. Like we've secularized on so many issues, but that remain like more fidelity in a relationship remains the thing that can bring down presidents, destroy the world's richest man, right? Bill Gates, and so on. And it paints. It's still like visceral in us. I think that's a very good thing.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And make sure to let me know what guests you want to see on in the future.